From trolling kappas? An annoying combination, to be honest, to insect respect, or lack of it anyway, and lots of reminiscing, both good and bad. Hello, Magi here, and welcome back to another episode of Top 5 Touhou Doujin works, the series where I cover doujin works I or you guys have noticed throughout the week and had the need to tell you guys about it. So without further ado, let's begin the Top 5 Touhou Doujin works number 46.
Number 5.
What do you get when you combine a cold winter, a person who never forgets, and a creative mind? I'm not for sure what answer you would get, but this doujin work would suffice. Heating no Akyu, created by Kosi. You gotta admit, after seeing this title page, you can't help but be curious on what the fuck is gonna happen. We start out with Nidori heading into a building. We see that it's Akyu's place. Nidori notes on how cold it is that day and sees said human on the kotatsu. Let's just say the Kappa was not happy with the situation. After Akyu gets out of that snowy pile, she explains the reason why Nidori was summoned. She wanted to use Nidori's scientific skills to get rid of this chilling winter. Nidori, not liking Akyu's approach, reprimands her for being an enemy of the environment. As a Canadian that's dealt with bloody cold winters on a yearly basis, I'm with Akyu on this one. Instead of helping Akyu with removing winter, she instead teaches her how to handle it. We start with a hand towel. I'm confused as Akyu is. Nidori shows us how we're supposed to use it. For someone who's dealt with walking through the snow in minus 40 Celsius in his shorts, let me tell you that Nidori's idea is the biggest garbage I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of shit in my life. Really, it's just Nidori giving some trollish ideas to Akyu and seeing how she handles it. Definitely a nice twist to the usual Kappa, I gotta say. Instead of money, she wants to piss people off. I can certainly see the appeal of it.
Number 4.
When it comes to insects, we mostly see them as pests when they're in our home, which I don't blame you for doing so. And when you're the leader of said pests, things can be rough for ya. Roast blend of insects and magic created by Suchi Hanami stars Wriggle and Marissa. Wriggle is explaining some bug stuff to humans when two bratty kids out of nowhere come up and start insulting her. I'm no fans of bugs, but maybe these kids should take a chill pill. After Wriggle gets enraged, they take out some bug spray and knock out Wriggle. Hot damn. I did mention in the past in her character profile that insect repellent worked, but a little too well if you ask me. As Kane chases those troublemakers, Marissa converses with Wriggle and is curious if the firefly and bugs are still good. Wriggle exclaims that they have the greatest trust. Wanting to prove it, she calls for her companions, only to receive crickets. Metaphorically, as not even they came out to support her. Anyway, we transition to Marissa's home to see that it's infested. Seeing this, Marissa decides to talk to an expert in this situation. When I say talk, more like bloody murder. We learn that she can't control the bugs. Wriggle was actually able to get Marissa to help her, as she explained that a messy house is a great habitat for these insects. Marissa is in a pickle from the looks of it, so helping Wriggle will be the fastest way of removing the bugs. I mean, cleaning could be an option, but this is Marissa, so that's not gonna happen. So the two go to homes where the residents could help Wriggle be a better leader. We first hit the SDM and then Yuyuko's place. I'm gonna leave it at that. There's a lot more to the story and how Wriggle deals with her issue. An overall good story with a nice and simple message. Can't complain about that.
Number 3.
For this next work, we're going to be talking about books. Not any specific book, just the greatest book of all time. A hard fact to swallow, I will admit, but there's a reason for that. Uninteresting book created by Mizu Tataki stars the librarian from the SDM. We begin with Kane and Akyu traveling to the mansion. The reason the two humans came was because of a book. Akyu found it in her archives and has no recollection of it being involved in the Gensokyo Chronicles. Akyu does know it's a magic book. There's a seal on it and has some ominous saying, all who read this book are equally bound to the same fate, to enter into death through otherworldly boredom. Very spooky. With that out of the way, Pacheli begins to tackle this book. She begins to analyze it from a magician's point of view, not something I'm going to explain. Even as smart as Pacheli may be, she lowered her guard just a little, which allowed the book to do its magical thing. Sakyo checks out what's going on and sees that the book is draining Pacheli's magical energy. It's then we learn how this book works. The book's title, Uninteresting Book, is quite misleading as it's quite interesting. A little too much. In exchange of the reader's mana, it displays the most interesting text for the reader. The reader's magic is directly converted to the book's interestingness. I gotta admit, that's a new one. And that's the premise of the story, a magical trap that's stronger the more interested a person is into books. Considering this is Patchouli, this could be a tricky situation. I'm going to leave it there as I want you guys to see how Patchouli gets herself out of this mess.
Number 2.
We just talked about Akyu already, so it couldn't hurt to talk about the Hideas once more. Surely It Is Not Love, created by Maka Kisake, begins with a little summary about a person named Motori Norinaga, a pioneer of ancient Japanese culture. He also had a nickname, Yashiro. With that out of the way, we see a person begging at a huge home. We see it's a man named Ozu Yashiro. Dude's pretty much lost and was hoping to chill at this place for the night. The lady at the front goes and calls for the lady's 7th. It turns out this girl is not Akyu, but Anana, one of Akyu's past incarnations. Anana tells her servant to bring him to the archives to look at the maps, but wants him out early in the morning. Sounds reasonable. As Ozu is looking over the papers, Anana comes into the room, asking why he's copying the geographical records. The reason he's doing so is to make maps on his own, as there's no accurate map for this time. I'm not gonna argue with that. Anana explains Ginsoku is a hidden village where yokai dwells and her special position. Ozu says he recognizes the work from Hidia no Are, which would be Anana's first incarnation. The 7th is extremely happy of being remembered. Anana mentions her duty with the Chronicle, and Ozu offers to help her out. As Ozu leaves, however, Kate arrives, eating his memory of the place. The existence of the village had to be hidden. It's truly unfortunate for the guys. We learned that he had feelings for Anana. There's more to the story, but I'm gonna leave it there. All in all, a cool story about an incarnation of Akyu's. It's not exactly the happiest of works, but it certainly has its moments.
Number 1.
For the last work, it's all gonna be about family, the happy and sad moments of the relationship. You Alone Know, created by Hozuki. We begin with Byakuren crying as a cat died. She tried to feed it, but no luck. There's a person who tries to reassure the woman. It turns out it was her brother, Mirin. The monk is saddened that she can't visit his grave as it's in the outside world, so she decides to make a Buddha statue of him. That's excessive, I would say. Look, I love my family a lot, but I don't know if I'd be down to have a Buddha statue of them. Sounds weird. The two girls notice how excited Byakuren is whenever she mentions her brother. She then reminisces of Mirin some more. He was kinder, smarter, and more powerful than her, yet he died first. She learned that from his belongings he had a scroll of black magic to regain youth and prolong life, which she used to be in her current status. Byakuren believes if she had died first, Mirin would have done the same thing and used the scroll. Byakuren would have forgiven him if he had extended his life, and she believed he would forgive her as well. Believing that, Byakuren wished they both extended their life. Back at the temple, Nue suggests Mamizo should transform to Mirin, as it would be more realistic, believing the monk would love it. So she did, and Nue was impressed by how she looked. It's a little too good, as Byakuren is stunned at Mamizo's new appearance, if the tears weren't any indication. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it here. I like this work as it dealt with her brother, who was a major influence to the monk. His death was the catalyst which drove Byakuren down to the path she chose. Not intentionally, but was a catalyst nonetheless. And considering how very few siblings there are in the series, it never hurts to see more interaction between the families of Touhou. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this episode. Which shoujo works are you gonna check out later? Would you like to see the trolling Kappa at her finest? How do you think Patchouli is gonna get out of her situation? Or do you feel bad for Byakuren crying like that? If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe, or else your room will be filled with bugs like Marissas. If that happens, you should probably clean it up. Just saying. Either way, this is Magi, and thanks again for watching.